I just want to welcome you all. I am the presenter today, and we left that off the flyers purposely so that you would come, because after you see me, you might not. But just thank you for spending your lunch with us. Today's topic is going to be goal setting, and I love this quote: "If you fail to plan, you can plan to fail." And so many times in our lives, if you think about when you didn't accomplish something, it was because you didn't have a plan to do it. I also gave you a handout. That is actually from Dr. Michelle Levitt. She's a good friend of mine. She's a pediatrician in the Dover, New Philly area. And she also has, we have a lot of the same passions about health and wellness. And it's just a great workbook. Just humor me as we go through this. Act like you're paying attention. At least draw me some cute stick figures or whatever. No, but just take notes. You don't have to. It's really good if you take like 30 minutes of your time and just sit and go through it. And one of the things that I realized was a lot of times I have goals, but I don't write them down. I don't have a plan. And did anybody here make a New Year's resolution or set a goal at the beginning of the year? Anybody? Okay, a couple of you. So I'm going to share with you some statistics. 92% of people fail their New Year's resolutions, and 80% of those people fail it by February. So those of you who have set goals, are you still doing good? Good, good. And then this I found very interesting, that only 8% of people actually achieve their resolutions or their goals. And so I thought, well, what would make that 8% of people be successful? And Michelle and I both like to look at two ways to have goals. I think you need to have those big God-sized goals, like dreams, that you do need some divine intervention, you need the help of others, but also have the smaller goals that are going to help you reach those larger ones. And I know that you've all seen this next slide 1,000 times, so I'm just going to hit it real quick. But those smaller goals should be SMART goals, so they're specific. So you define the goal in precise terms: the who, the what, when, where, why. Make sure that it's measurable. You can track and measure your outcomes. So what is the end goal? Make sure it's attainable and realistic. So if one of your goals is to save money and you say, I'm going to save $30,000 this year, and you only make 20, that's just not realistic. Make sure that it's relevant and it's worthwhile, and then make sure that you can also track it and have a deadline so you get some sense of urgency to make you want to achieve that goal quicker. So I'm going to go through the 10 steps of kind of figuring out what goals you want to work towards, how you want to get there, and we're going to start with number 1. So that is the where are you now? And if you look on, I'm going to grab one of these pages here, get these. If you go to page 1, and it's in your life right now, you to write down just what the 3 most important areas are to you. And this is good to like do on a yearly basis because our lives change. Like for me, this is my life changed. My son went away to college, so obviously he's still my number 1 priority, but my daily life isn't the same. So you're going to write down your top 3 priorities in your life, and then on page 2 and 3 of the workbook, it divides it into these 9 different areas. So your environment, so that's like your home, your work, your car, your leisure, your hobbies, your vacations, fun activities that you do outside of work, your relationships. So not only your spouse and your immediate family, but your friends, your coworkers, your finances, your spirituality, your physical health. So it could be your health, nutrition and what you're eating, how much are you exercising, your appearance, and especially your sleep. Mental health, which is your overall happiness, your ability to channel your feelings and emotions, and your ability to handle stress, which is a huge one. And then also just personal development. And you're going to rate those with 1 being the worst, 10 being the highest. And like I said, you don't have to do this now, but once you get those all filled out, you add those up. And areas that scored 6 or lower, those are going to be the areas that you should really focus on. Those that scored 7 or higher, those are the ones that you're feeling pretty good about, and you don't really, you want to focus on the ones that are 6 or lower. So after you have that, okay, so where do you want to go? So what are you trying to accomplish? What do you need to get rid of? What do you need to change? Or maybe what do you need to start doing? So on page 4 then, you're going to write down those smaller goals. And this is just a quick brainstorming. What are some of those things that I've been saying I've wanted to do for so long that I haven't gotten to? So you're just going to brainstorm there. And then this next piece I think is critical. Number 3, what are your priorities? So what is most important to your life right now? And identify again where you need to focus. So you want to go back to page 1 to see what those top 3 priorities were in your life. And make sure that those goals are lining up with those top 3 priorities. So for instance, if one of my goals is this year I want to make more money, but my top priority is my family, then in order to make more money, I'm probably going to have to work more hours or get a second job, which is going to pull me away from my family. So those two are conflicting. And although I may be making more money, I'm going to be unhappy because I'm not fulfilling that part or that priority in my life. So that's really critical that you go back and make sure, are my goals lining up with what my priorities are in my life at this time? Because if you don't have the motivation to achieve it, you can find 1,000,001 excuses. So again, make sure those are lining up. And then the momentum goal. So that's on page 5. And this is the one goal that generates the most momentum, and it's going to help you attain some of those other goals that you set. So this goal should excite you and motivate you. So an example would be if one of your goals is to get healthy this year, one of the steps you might take is, okay, I'm going to eat out less. Well, by eating out less, you're probably going to save money. So if one of your other goals is to save money, those two are in line with each other. They're going to feed off each other. But that big momentum goal, when you start to achieve it, it should trickle down and to affect those other goals. So once you get that, you'll go to number 5, which is reverse engineer. A lot of you know what that is. You start backwards. So you start at your goal, and this starts on page 12 of the workbook, and there's several pages of the same that you'll see. It's just for each individual goal. List any small action steps. So what this is again is, what do I need to do more of? What do I need to get rid of? What do I need to do less of? Maybe who do I need to quit hanging around so much? Who do I need to surround myself more with? And then list your progress along the way. And you'll see there that it has the progress milestones. That's big too. You want to see that you progress. Just because you come to your job to earn a living. You wouldn't come if you wouldn't get paid. Maybe some of you would, and that's great. But you come for a reason. So you want to make sure that you put down your small action steps and every change that needs to start or stop that either helps or hinders. A lot of the times we write down things that we need to do, and we forget about those things that we have to stop doing. So number 6, which for a lot of people is the hardest step, is to take action. Every action is a win, and you need to literally write down the rules and standards that you're going to allow yourself to do to reach your goals. So you have to write down what's acceptable. A world without rules is just a world of chaos. So a goal without a plan is you're probably not going to get to that goal. So an example, one of my goals that I set for myself this year is to strengthen my spirituality and my relationship with God. So first I figure out, okay, when is the best time for me to do this? I don't really want to get up 30 minutes early in the morning, so I was going to chunk it 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes at night. So my rule, for example, rule number 1, and I'm still doing this, is I'm not hitting the snooze button. It's made a big difference. Not only in my life, but probably in my husband's life and the dog's life too. But I actually moved the alarm clock to the other side of the room. And I know people say they do that all the time and they get out of bed and then they get back in. But by the time I'm out of bed, I have to go to the bathroom anyway. So I get out, that's good. So that has helped me. The other thing is I told my husband, because I hate to see my husband, I hate for him to see me fail at anything. It's like that competitive we have, like I'm not going to hit the snooze button. So I told him, and then I made sure that I had a quiet space just set up every morning. So my Bible's there, my notebook's there, my devotion's there, everything's there, so I don't have any distractions. All those barriers are gone. So that's where you're going to write down all those rules that are going to help you to reach that goal. And then you kind of have to get out of your own head. So for a lot of people, they say, I can't have pop. It's not that you can't have pop, it's that you don't drink pop. So changing that voice in your head to say, I'm sorry, I don't drink pop, or I'm sorry, I don't eat cake. Or, and then, so say you got a second job. You say, well, I have to go to my second job. No, you say, I get to go to my second job because it's helping me to afford to take my kids to Disney, or whatever that goal is. Just changing those voices in your head. So number 7, you're gonna identify your limited beliefs. So changing the I can't to I can. If you don't believe it, you won't achieve it. And you need to replace all those excuses with positive affirmations. Don't believe the lies you've been telling yourself. You can do anything your mind tells you to do, or you can do nothing if that's what you're telling yourself to do. And one of the big things is to let go of past failures. You know, people tell me in the coaching that I do, I've tried to lose these last 20 pounds for 10 years. Well, let go of it. You obviously weren't doing something right. Today's a new day, so let go of those past failures. Number 8 is to focus on your strengths. Use your strengths to progress towards your goal, and don't focus on your weaknesses. And I love this quote, build upon your strengths and your weaknesses will gradually take care of themselves. So if you come in my office recently, I put on my wall, it says, it's huge, you can't miss it. It says, be awesome today. So do more of what makes you feel good. Do more of what makes you feel awesome. And find those things and focus on them. So if one of my goals was to be more active this year and I hated tennis, why would I say I'm gonna go and play tennis? You have to line everything up. If you don't like to walk on a treadmill, then make sure you bundle up and go outside. If you don't like it, you're not gonna do it. You'll be more apt to do the things that you like. So number 9, and this for me is, I think, one of the most important things, is committing to your goals, but doing that through accountability. And this was also the Provia value that we're focusing on in January. Larry spoke about it at our values. And the definition of being accountable is an obligation or willingness to accept responsibility or to account for one's actions. And this is something we were taught at a young age. We don't play the blame game, just fess up to it. If you didn't do it, in my coaching, I tell people, I would rather you say, you know what, I was lazy, I just didn't do what you told me to do, instead of coming up with 1,000,001 excuses. But I think that the accountability is such a huge piece. I wanna break it down into steps for you. So number 1 is to find someone to check in with to hold you accountable. And this is one of the things that you can set up health coaching with either Stacy and I. It doesn't have to be specifically you want to lose weight or become more active. It could be different areas of your life, but we can help you be that accountability part. Anybody on the Inspire team. We have Bruce Hampshire, Joel Herman, Laverne Yoder now, Jamie Galbraith, Stacy, and myself. And we can all help you because you need to find someone that you can't easily convince that you're always right. So for me, my mom would be a terrible accountability because, like all moms, she thinks I can walk on water. I can convince her that the sky is green. So you want to find somebody that's going to give you that constructive criticism and be honest with you. The next thing is to create a schedule that is consistent. So you know on Mondays at 3 o'clock, I'm going to meet with so-and-so. So when other people try to schedule appointments with you, you can say, nope, I'm not free then, it's non-negotiable, it'll have to be some other time. But that consistency is key. And then discuss with that person those rules and those standards that you've set for yourself, and then be vulnerable. Be honest with them. You're only kidding yourself if you're not honest. Because then they can ask challenging questions. I have a lot of people say, well, I don't have the time. Well, one of my questions always is back, how long were you on Facebook last night? Or how long did you watch The Real Housewives? Or how long? So then they can ask challenging questions. And then again, reward yourself along the way in small steps. Because if you're not seeing the benefits, and sometimes the reward itself is seeing the benefits in those small goals. But I think if you'd ask anybody who I have coached, they would say that the accountability was one of the biggest reasons that they were successful in whatever they were trying to accomplish. So, and then number 10, obviously, don't quit. So remember, every step toward the goal is a win, every small step. and take pride in your accomplishments. There's going to be setbacks, there's going to be struggles, but this is where that accountability partner really becomes a key person. They're your cheerleader, your encourager, and they can remind you of what you've done right along the way. Because so many times, people will come into my office and they'll say, I didn't do this, I didn't do this, I didn't do this. And my question back to them is, okay, but what did you do? Because we are our own worst critics. So you have to get out of your own head, and having that other person to remind you of those accomplishments is big. And one of the, it's a self-help book I'm reading now by Brene Brown, if anybody's heard. She asked a really good question about what is hope? And her definition is that hope is not an emotion, it's a way of thinking. Emotions play a supporting role, but hope really is a thought process. So what is hope? You have hope when you have the ability to set realistic goals. So that was where we talked about, I know where I want to go. So for an example, when you get in a car, if you don't know where you're going, you're not going to get anywhere. So you have a plan, you have a destination. So you develop a plan to reach those goals. So you know how to get there, you're persistent, and you can tolerate disappointment and try again. So in relationship to you get in the car, turn the GPS on. If you come to a road that's closed, do you just stop and sit there the rest of the day? No, you're going to find another way. And then last but not least, we believe in ourselves and that you can do this. And you have to, it's a lot of mental. Your body will do anything you tell it to do. You just have to believe that you can do it. So I want to end with a quote, and I love this quote, is an arrow can only be shot by pulling it backward. When life is dragging you back with difficulties, just imagine that it's going to launch you into something great. So when you think about that, the arrow's not going to go anywhere unless you pull it back and release it and go. If you stand here and let go, it's just going to fall. So that's what I have for you today. So now you guys are all motivated. You're going to sit and you're going to think about, and this was huge. Whenever I did this, I realized there were some areas of my life that I really needed to work on. So just that self-evaluation is good in itself. So thank you all.